Hey everyone, Martin here. I know we've been on a bit of a break and a bit of a hiatus lately, but I'm happy that we're able to present a few videos from the PASSCast that we've been working on. However, before this particular video, I need to mention that we do have a trigger warning for suicide and self-harm. So I've put a few numbers on the screen there. So if you or anyone you know is going through a hard time and could use someone to talk to, please contact those numbers. So for our audio listeners, we've got Beyond Blue at 1300 224 636, Lifeline 13 11 14, Headspace 1800 650 890, Kids Helpline 1800 55 1800, MensLine 1300 78 99 78, and lastly Queensland Health 13 43 25 84. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, but there might be some distressing content, so please proceed with caution. Thank you.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 5th episode of the PASSCast with Martin and Daniel. We've got a very special episode lined up here today because it is on the eve of a very special rotation day. Daniel, this is why I wanted to start it.
How dare you take my thunder, taking your thunder? I damn well no. Sorry guys, we're gonna have to stop the stream. Go live again. So fix this.
Take 2.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Do your thing, you jerk.
Tonight is actually a pretty special night, or one I'm quite happy for us to do the PASSCast on, because tomorrow is actually Daniel's 26th birthday, everyone. So
Not my 26th birthday, you Kenzie, I swear to God.
talk. You talk.
Why? Because you're too busy laughing at the fact that I will kill you. That's a great way of starting the PASSCast. Hi guys, I'm going to murder the other host.
How are you, Daniel?
No. Tomorrow is, in fact, my 24th 34th rotation of the sun. As of 6:45 tomorrow morning, I will have escaped the imprisonment in the womb and have been on the planet for that long. And I can see Courtney's reaction to that joke, and it's hilarious. Sorry. So yes, we also have a special guest tonight in Courtney, who we will be introducing soon. But before we get into that, and we get past the fact that tomorrow is my rotation day, Martin, how's your week been?
Not the worst. It's been quite eventful, but pretty much all my weeks have been eventful now. Just a normal week, I suppose. Had stuff to do, assignments to get done and work on, but yeah, no real comment. How about you?
So this week's kind of sucked. It always kind of sucks this week, but I'll get into more of why that sort of sucks later on. But one of the big things this week has been trying to organize Quizbusters across all of the different class courses. So for my linear algebra kiddies, or mature age students as some of them are, but I still call all my bypass students my kiddies. We have been trying to make it so that the Quizbuster will be at a really opportune time. I sent out a little polly thing, and it was all exciting. And then two things happened. I realized that I thought that the quiz was on Friday, but it's actually on Wednesday, and that Monday is a public holiday. And we can't do a Quizbuster on a public holiday. Jackie won't let me do that, which I completely understand. She doesn't want to pay me extra.
I also don't think the students would want to go in on a public holiday, so that's
right. I can put it online, but the point is that yes, I'll be sending out an email to all of the students tonight, but our Quizbuster is going ahead. And they will get the details if they've attended a PASS session. If they haven't attended a PASS session, they're not going to get an email. So hopefully they've been showing up to PASS so they can come to our PASS exclusive Quizbuster.
And if not, hopefully they'll start showing up after that, and then they can get ready for the exam buster.
Well, we're going to have another Quizbuster and then an exam buster. So
there we go. So that's a double incentive, I guess, for them to start showing up and getting involved with PASS. I do want to bring up, you've got a new special guest there today. He's sitting on your chest. Could you want to explain that one?
Oh, you mean Super Ted here? His name isn't actually Super Ted. I don't know what his name was originally, but Super Ted is here with me. He gets to be here with me on my chest today because he has survived, I'm pretty sure, every rotation with me.
Perfect.
So my mother has yet to confirm for me. Actually, she might have. Yeah, she just said when I was a baby. So he's been around since he was my first birthday gift, I'm going to say. So
So he's
uh,
24 years old
no, he is 34 years old, and I will hear no more of this awful joke.
then. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Because remember, you've got three pass sessions tomorrow.
Zipper, and he used to have a belt, but that's degraded over time. And like this thing here, it doesn't show it anymore, but it used to say button. So
Oh
I got to
my,
learn all fun things about, yeah,
that's really
and
cool.
he has numbers on his feet, so I could count his toes.
That's
Uh,
so cool.
yeah, he's pretty cool. I don't think you can get him anymore.
Special edition.
So unlike these guys who are dime a dozen, this guy's very important to me because he's been around since 1987.
Oh my god.
Not what's the year that Mackenzie thinks I was born? 1994.
Something like that. So,
So
uh, all right, that's actually kind of. I
so
didn't know that. I'm quite happy that you've got that little sentimental token there. That's nice.
okay. And my mother is actually watching and has just sent me a
Oh,
text
there we
message.
go.
His name was always Super Ted.
Okay,
I'm saying that he is not the Super Ted from the TV show.
okay,
That's what
that's a little
I'm
caveat.
clarifying for my mother's sake here, who is
Perfect,
watching this stream. His name was always Super Ted, but he's not the Super Ted that you may know from the old TV show. That is
perfect,
what I let me clarify that. So
cool. So
so now I know my mother's watching.
that's always good. No pressure. Um, which I guess leads us on to what are we talking about today, Daniel?
I was actually going to ask you the same thing. So you talk because we've been talking to me about my stupid rotation day. So what are we doing today, Martin? What are we talking about?
Well, I feel like we're at that point in the trimester when, assessments piling up. Some people have exams or quizzes, as we've alluded to. And you start to get a bit of, I guess, pressure on. And, I think this is the point in the semester where you really start to hit some challenges. So instead of just talking about normal challenges, I guess, or uni related challenges, I wanted to get into, I guess, a bit of a conversation about, adversity and overcoming those sorts of things that can be real barriers or obstacles in your university life. So it doesn't necessarily have to be study related, just, in general, any form of adversity or any form of challenges that might, I guess, dampen your success at university and how we can overcome that and what are the strategies we can use to, I guess, make sure that we're well equipped or better able to handle that. What do you think? Does that sound like a good enough plan?
It sounds like a pretty good plan. So I mean, our guest has an adversity that I think will be quite obvious once we introduce her.
Mm-hmm.
For yourself, can you think of any adversities that you've had to overcome?
No, none at all. No, never.
None at all.
None at all.
Just had a perfect
Yep.
streak.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You're
Yep.
just a perfect human. Okay, cool. Good to know. Good to know.
We will discuss that later.
We'll discuss it later. Okay.
Yes.
And as has been alluded to across a couple of different past casts, and to anyone that's ever actually met me, my adversities are mostly to do with mental health. So I'm going to be talking about my mental health and why this week in particular has been a struggle for me for the last couple of years. But we will get into that at the very end. Jackie actually only learnt about that this coming week, this last week. So I'm glad that I got to tell her personally before I just kind of revealed it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because I thought she knew about it, but when I mentioned it, she was like, "I did not know this," and I'm like,
Mm,
"Oh, I
there we
probably
go.
should have prefaced this with something." But yes, so for people out there, there will be, I guess, just to be, I guess, a bit more PC, there will be some
Mm,
trigger warning tonight on particular topics like physical adversities, physical disabilities, mental health, and things around that. So kind of a bit like we had with Shay in some
mm,
regards, but we didn't obviously have the warnings there.
yeah. Well,
It's not
because
feedback we got, but it's just something I thought, well, maybe because we're getting a bit deeper into some stuff tonight, it's probably good to throw out there.
So I guess we should probably stop talking ourselves and kind of get on to our lovely guest, shouldn't we? Be
Yeah, I suppose so. She's pretty awesome, so might as well introduce her.
So
I the honor of being observed by Courtney this last week as well, and it was an absolute pleasure to have her in my class.
that's great. So without any, I guess, further ado, we have the lovely Courtney here. Hi, Courtney. How are you?
Oh, hey guys.
Yeah,
Well,
you
how
did
are we?
did unserve and mute her.
I did
Yeah.
unserve and mute her. We can hear her perfectly.
Good.
I did
Sorry,
my
we
job.
had some technical difficulties before Martin went live, where he didn't actually mute the guest. So
Yeah, dear. Okay, yeah, that's yeah.
All good though. Live, everything worked flawlessly. How are you, Courtney?
Like it, good. Bit I guess like stressed out about my my things. Like like I am like like talking like in front of a group of people like next week. So I've got that to prep for, and like yeah, that's about it. But yeah, pretty hectic week.
Kind of got a bit of a practice here, you know, talking to, I guess, a virtual group of people here.
That you got a bit of a test run, so
yeah, good.
So I guess, Courtney, we should probably start by asking, because we've kind of, well, not really made a big deal of it, but we've alluded to it, that you do have a disability. What would you like to share that?
Well, I mean, like you can probably already tell, but I have a I guess speech impediment. So I have problems trying to say my words, trying to say things in my head because they just can't come out. So I've had that since I was a tiny kid. So I pretty much like had it for 21 like years, and it's still a problem. But I think I have, I guess, figured like out a way to cope with it now, which is good. But yeah,
well,
so that's me.
I do definitely feel like you've coped with it well, because Jackie gave us quite a list in preparing for this session on your achievements. Would you like to speak about some of those and
yeah, I mean I can. So I guess like I'm a PASS person. Duh. I I like so I like worked at like QIMR. That was in my second like year of like uni. I worked at the children's like hospital for a bit, like helping out. That was through Griffith too. So with that one, I worked in, I think, oncology primarily. And then what else did she list?
There was a long list. There was
you don't
a
have to
very
go through
long
the full list, but what can you think of?
What can I think of? I've done a ton of presentations, like, which is, I guess, so, like I guess thing I'm like quite proud of. Like I was the vice president like of the science club here at like Griffith. That was really fun. That was really cool. What have I done?
There's that minor thing where I'm pretty sure you graduated last year.
I graduated. That's right.
So you've actually completed your undergrad, and you've moved on to something else.
Yeah. So I graduated from biomed like last year, and then for this year I'm trying to do a like honors project, and that's been good. But it's a ton of work. It's pretty like hectic, but yeah.
It's also involved a bit of a relocation for you in terms of where you spend most of your time, isn't it?
Like yeah. So for my like undergrad, like I was here on like on I guess I can't say it.
That's all right.
Campus. But I transferred to Gold Coast, so that was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
That is pretty exciting because now we get to claim you
Yes.
as a Gold Coast leader instead of you being a Nathan leader. So
I mean, technically, yeah, but
you are
technically
officially,
yes, but you still get to decide where your home is. But
you're
we're
technically
claiming you on the Gold Coast as ours now.
and I mean, you get to have the distinction of being our first Gold Coast guest. So I guess it's probably.
Well,
like,
in that case, okay,
I don't
fine.
think you ever.
You'll take the title because it comes with
I'll take it.
bragging
alright.
rights.
No, but
Yeah.
it's I guess the little point that Daniel was trying to get at there was that, you quite evidently do have an impediment there, but you've done so many incredible things, and you're, I guess, still steamrolling ahead with university and your involvements and helping others. So
And you're doing a presentation next week, apparently.
Trying to, yes, but yeah.
But I guess
Yeah, for sure.
it's really shown that you are an example of a person who has not let your adversity or your disability define you, have you?
No.
So
No.
how long did it take you, or how did you get comfortable with the fact that this was a permanent thing of yours and that you had to, I guess, deal with it on a day-to-day basis?
So I think during primary school I was so chill because I was I think more I guess more interested in playing, I don't know, with, I think, I don't know, play, I guess, I can't say it, but no, but it but for me, I don't think it was until about high school that I figured out that I was probably not the same as people. So for me, so I think for me, the thing that changed was I did like a course that got me talking to tons of people that had problems like me, and we would try to find, I guess, ways to cope with it and ways to get past it. So that really helped me build the confidence to be able to do things. So as part of that program, so at the time I I think it was about 14, I practice and but I got to the point where I was, I guess, able to present to my, I guess, to my school, my story, and then from there I was like, yeah, chill, it's fine, kind of thing. And from there it's it kind of slowly became, I guess, less of a problem. But then I think again it became a problem when I first began here at Griffith. But I think that's the same for the majority of people because it's a brand, I guess, new place, new people, new teachers, new things. But for me, what got me through it was just I guess being I guess a part of, I guess, of, I guess, everything. So I joined sport teams, I joined clubs, I went to PASS a heck of a ton because PASS is awesome. But I did, I guess, I guess, everything in my power to feel comfortable there. So I spoke to people, I did everything I could to kind of bring, I guess, that comfort back.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I guess in your eyes, it kind of was a bit like you felt like you were a normal person and you wanted to be around other people regardless of your speech
Yeah.
impediment. You like, for all intents and purposes, you had nothing holding you back.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Because I still, I guess, like I guess sometimes don't, I guess, think I guess like have a problem. Like until I catch catch, I guess, myself and and I go, oh, actually that like wasn't the best, or that could have been better, or oh, that was really weird. But yeah, so for me, I just try to keep powering through it and just trying to keep my comfortable. Yeah, that's my pretty much my aim.
No, that's really good, and because obviously you sitting here talking to us on a podcast was
Yeah,
really easy for you to do, obviously. So like this just happened overnight, right? Like you didn't put any effort and time into making sure that you felt. This is me being sarcastic, by the way. No, I just had to make sure because apparently my friends have told me I've lost a lot of my sarcasm in my voice, so it's come out more deadpan. I think because I'm more tired lately, but yeah. So like all of this, like you've worked on to a point where, like even before we were talking, and we were like, if you feel uncomfortable at any point, you just you don't have to keep talking, and you're like, no, I'm this is who I am. I'm perfectly happy to keep talking, and I'm happy to talk about this. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, whereas there might be topics later on for me and Martin where we're just like, yeah, no, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay, true. Plus, also, I guess me, like I can't change it. Like I'm kind of like this now, so I just kind of have to kind of be like, so I kind of have to go, cool, but now, like how do we I can't say it.
Move forward.
Move on from here, kind of thing. But yeah, so no, this podcast is way like out of my, I guess, like comfort zone. But it is like, but it is for pass. So I can't. Like, yeah, it's fine. So it's.
Well,
I mean, you could have said no when we approached you, but
to be fair, I'll give you some, I guess, empathy in the sense that it's out of Daniel and my comfort zone. Daniel more than mine.
Hugely so.
But like, I can only.
I
speak
said
to
this
myself.
as a joke to the idiot, and he took it on board, and here we are, 5 episodes in now, and people seem to enjoy this for some reason. But
yeah,
great.
But it's still something where, like, it's out of your comfort zone, but at least I find it's been quite rewarding and quite enjoyable, and I'm hoping that, just like with the other guests we've had, I'm hoping that you'll find it enjoyable and that you'd enjoy having the ability to share your story with different people and kind of, I guess, share as much as you want to, but give people more of an insight into, well, who's Courtney, who's this amazing pass leader they get to see every week. So
yeah, no.
So
far it's like pretty good. So
we're traveling well. That's good.
Awesome. Well, I think Martin had a really brilliant question that he actually asked you before when we went live, and I'm like, hey, Martin, you should probably save this for when we're live because it's really cool. Martin, go ahead and ask.
So for context for people out there watching, we were talking off air a bit, and we were trying to gather a bit about what Courtney wanted to talk about, what she's comfortable with, and that sort of thing. As typical procedure, you don't want a guest to feel uncomfortable. And I asked her because I myself actually am completely unfamiliar with her impediment, so with the stuttering.
Oblivious.
Oblivious, yes, that's the right word. And I actually asked her.
Ignorant.
And
We
I
won't go that far.
No,
Yeah.
he's not. He's not.
Martin
He's
Martin
great.
is
He's
one
great.
of the least ignorant people I know, but
He's fantastic.
I had to pick at him because remember, he's perfect. He's got no
yes.
adversity whatsoever.
I
So
mean, yeah, exactly right. Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, I wanted to ask you, Courtney, then I guess, how does the stutter form? Like, is it something that, they know, why do you have your stutter, or why is it there? Is it something that is a condition within you, or how does it work? What light can you shed on that?
So pretty much, like, we don't know. That's the short answer. So I guess the ton of research that has happened gives in males, because I think that's far more common than me. I should try to think. But no, so for the males, they're thinking that it is due to some kind of brain issue. Not gonna, sorry.
And this was the
because
part.
that's exactly the way we took it before when we were talking.
Not brain issue, but
just
brain,
for context for everyone watching, she's laughing so much now because I made fun of the fact that brain issues was like her calling males stupid, which I agreed with. So, but she doesn't mean it like that.
It's not what Courtney meant at all, but it's exactly where Martin thought it was going.
No, I don't agree at all.
No, she does not mean that. But yes,
No.
so a brain link, yes.
But yeah. Plus also for some people, they can pass it down to their children and stuff. So I know people that their granddad had it, and blah blah blah. But for the girls, we've got no idea, absolutely no clue. Which kind of sucks, because that means that for therapy, we don't know what to be to be, I guess. I guess working on. So that kind of is hard. But
so essentially it's just been, you have to deal with it, I guess, and hope for the best, because there's just not enough of a sample size for them to work with.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, no, plus for the majority of people, they grow out of it by the time they're 12. So to still have it at 21 plus is a really it's a bit of a weird thing. Yeah, so it's not that common, especially for females.
Yeah.
So we don't know. That's a short answer, but yeah.
Well, that's all right, because I mean, I guess as long as you know how to relatively manage it, and I guess you still kick butt everywhere you go. As we said before, it's not something that defines you, and you're doing very well with it. So it's always good to, I guess, have that discussion. And it's quite interesting because, I don't know, I know people have stutters. I knew that before we came on air, but then I was starting to think, how much do I know about a stutter? And it was nothing. I don't hear it reported anywhere. I don't see it mentioned. It's not in the news. It's almost like a non-discussed issue, which was quite actually eye-opening before we even came on here. So
yeah, no, totally right. But to try and but to explain the feeling, so I guess for me, it's kind of I can't say the word. It's here, but I'm stuck. I can't actually push it out. There's something here that's wrong.
yeah.
But I also get weird breathing problems as well sometimes. Plus the majority of the time, talking causes me quite a ton of pain, which is not something a ton of people actually know.
No.
I kind of wish you prefaced us with that.
Yeah, I had no idea.
But I've been talking now for ages, so I'm I guess used to it. But yeah, so not sure. But yeah, but that is like how it is for me. So I guess for me, like it's all kind of here.
Yeah.
Like it's all like stuck right here. It can't come out. I'm trying to push it out and it won't come. Yeah, that's a way to put it.
Oh, wow.
It's
Well,
hard, but that's how it works. Yeah.
I guess I want to just, before Daniel cuts in with his next question, preface this or say that, if you do start to get in some form of pain from talking too much, because, this is a
No, it's
talk
fine.
show,
Trust me.
please let us
No,
know, which is the last thing we want is...
no, please. It is totally fine. Don't stress.
Perfect.
It's
Okay.
fine.
We are
Oh,
back.
good.
Okay, perfect. We're back. So we were...
We're back.
Yes. Do you
What was
want
the
to...
question?
The question that Daniel was asking about was how you notified the university, or what was the process or procedure with regards to, I guess, informing them, or I guess going through the motions of letting them know about the impediment.
Yeah, no. So I think like when I like was going to submit my like QTAC thing, so I had to write like a whole like essay
Oh no.
like about my speech and how crap it is and all this kind of stuff. So that got sent off like, and apparently that did get approved by them. But I came to Griffith and they had no clue.
Yeah.
They did not know. Something had gone wrong, like I think. So my first day of uni of first year, I went down to so they've changed the name, but I think it was I think it was student services.
Yes.
So I went to them and then they passed me on to the people here that deal with my kind of thing. And then from there they created a profile for me. And then basically now I guess when if I have a problem, they can I guess they can I guess pull up a file and help me out. So that can go for speeches, for tests, for that kind of thing. But I, to be fair, haven't really used them that much. Although they did help me write they did help me out with a job application that I tried for because they wanted me to talk about my speech and blah blah blah. So I contacted them for that, but they're really good. They are fantastic. They are so beautiful people. But yeah, so that was how that kind of worked. So I'm not entirely sure if that's the right way to go, but that was the way that I had to go because they didn't know. They had absolutely no clue. So yeah.
Well, I think that's actually a really good way of going about it. Even though you'd think that by filling everything in at QTAC they would have let the uni know.
Yeah,
no, of course not.
Because myself with my experience was pretty similar, except because I was in the Try 3 intake. At the end of Try 3, right after I sat my final exam, I get this email from Disability Services going, "Hey, we noticed on your application that you're starting in Try 1, and we also happen to notice that you have a disability. So would you like to come and talk to us about it?" To which I basically respond with the email going, "Yeah, just finished my final exam for Try 3, actually. But yeah, no, I'd love to come and talk to you about my issues and see if we can get me some extra help for exams and assessments and stuff." And their response was, "Oh, that's odd. The thing flagged you as a Try 1 intake." And I'm like, "Nope, definitely just finished my final."
There's just something there that's wrong. I think they're just I don't know, but yeah, no, they're great. Plus, they deal with all kinds of things. So they deal so if you have a more physical thing, they can I guess they can, I think, like help like you out like with that. They can help you out if you've like broken something. They're pretty good.
Oh.
Plus they do, I think, like any kind of like 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 was it um like I think it's I can't say it because I'm nervous.
Don't worry about it.
um but 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 they also have, I guess, a ton of, I guess, psychology things there
Yes.
too. So that's great.
So
They are
mental
fantastic,
health and
beautiful. Yeah,
so
yeah.
No, student services does have a lot of different services to help with like physical disabilities, mental disabilities. I know they've even got some services down there if you're having financial trouble. Like you can speak to somebody, and the university can see how they can help you.
Legal things too, I
Yeah,
think.
legal things. I remember I misinterpreted one of the things, so I went to talk to them about like housing because I thought maybe they could help me find housing, but they were like, "No, we actually more deal with if you're already a tenant somewhere and are having issues with
yeah.
like your landlord or something." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. I'm so sorry to have booked and wasted your time." And they're like, "No, no, no, it's good because you now have the knowledge that you can." That we are here to help. Like, is there anything else we can help you with? And that was the big thing too. Was like, is there anything else we can help you with? So
Mhm.
even if the person that you end up seeing there isn't an expert at what you need at that time, they are always willing to refer you through to somebody else.
Straight away.
And even for me, through mental health, um, they've got their own, like there's all the career advisors and stuff throughout all the different parts of the uni, and they've got a few, not necessarily based there, but they know of ones that are more,
Mm.
I guess, not to say that people aren't unhelpful, but more helpful when you do have a disability to help convey that across while looking for work or while trying to plan out your career. So I'm imagining, and I'm hoping I'm not over assuming here, but you probably dealt with some people like that when going
Yeah,
through with the job application and things like that.
yeah, totally. Yeah,
And
exactly.
so, Daniel, we've kind of alluded to it a bit. So I wanted to go to you here. We talked about the physical
Buck.
disability. So yeah, pass the buck. So we talked about, Courtney's physical speech impediment, but you also have a disability that you've alluded to. Do you want to, well, share as
Um,
much as you'd like about that?
Yeah, well, I've got a pretty severe anxiety and depression disorder, which, most people will turn around and go, okay, it's anxiety, depression. We hear about that all the time. But when you get to a point that I'm at, um, it is considered severe. And while I am working on it still and dealing with it, it's been a journey, we'll say. One that might not necessarily have survived, but we will get into that a bit more in a minute. But um, anxiety sucks. Like everyone deals with stress, and everyone can deal with how overwhelmed things can feel. But I think the thing most people don't realize about anxiety is that is how people with an anxiety disorder feel all the time, even for something as simple as I have to get out of bed and go shower for the day. Um, or for me, because mine's particularly when it comes to social anxiety, and why this podcast was such a stupid idea for me to be a part of, but here I am, is I sit there and like you've all heard if you've watched other episodes, we'll say something and then go, huh, that was probably not something I should have said out loud. Or
Pretty girls,
um,
internet.
pretty girls on the internet, yes. Or when I meet someone for the first time, the entire time I'm thinking, what are they thinking about what I'm saying to them? Like, whenever I meet a girl, for example, I'm assuming that they're not sitting there thinking I'm trying to hit on them the entire time, even though I'm not saying anything to imply that I am hitting on them in any way, shape, or form. So I come out of that feeling really, really stressed because I'm like, I really hope I didn't make that person feel uncomfortable just because I was trying to be nice. And it sucks because everyone I talk to, I go through this process of what did they think of me out of that. And it's a really big contrary mindset, because for the most part, I don't actually give a crap what other people think of me. But then if I get attached to someone, their opinion becomes something that I constantly worry about. And that's just the social side of my anxiety. And from that, it builds on um, a lot of misery and depression, which I cannot always just pull myself out of, that most people can. So I will sit there and ruminate on the one thing that I might have, like, I might go through, and I'm using as an example, it hasn't actually happened with PASS yet, but I'll go through an entire PASS class and stop and think about the one thing I said wrong at the very start and how that made me look like an idiot, or something like that. Um, my mum actually, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted her to watch this episode, because I'll probably be referencing a few stories of hers a lot. But part of my anxiety, I think, as I was growing up, was if somebody would do something to annoy me, I wouldn't express that, and I would hold on to that, and I'd think about it and ruminate on it all day, until the point where it got me so angry that I'd get home, and she'd ask me how my day was, and I'd tell her it was the most awful day in the world, because one person pissed me off at 9:01 in the morning at school, and I've been carrying that the entire day. And unfortunately for mum, because we didn't know that it was part of what I was going through mentally, she would end up copying a lot of that, because I was afraid of showing people how I was feeling. But I knew with her, she would always look after me and always care.
It's so wholesome.
I
It's
need to talk a minute.
yeah, it's all good. But I guess it kind of shows the side of what the effects are of different disabilities on people and how different people handle these sorts of things. Like, uh, we talked about you, Courtney, who just powering through it, and it's for you. You have that confidence and that ability to, I guess, take it and really make it not define who you are. And then we've got on the other side Daniel as well, who's really he's the same thing. He's trying to do as much as he can. He's working through, but just something isn't letting him to, I guess, get through that disability. And that's where, you need to have that extra help. And that's why we tout on about the support. And that's why I guess we were asking you about the support, Courtney, or how you went through, because it's very similar. We have within Griffith, the support is always there for different things. So it's, I guess it's a nice available option, but at the same time, it's not always something that's going to help us to get through these sorts of issues.
Yeah. No, that is true. Plus, I guess, would I guess like to add. Some days we do kind of, I guess, feel like crap, like really crap. But so for, I guess, me, like, I have like one like crap day, maybe like 4 times a year. But for that day, like, I just be quiet, I just chill. Like, I don't talk to people because I just don't want to, because it's too hard. But that's but but I think that is, I guess, like part of the process, and part of just trying to do well and to be well. Is just having those days where you just it's like bad day.
And that's the thing. It is a journey. Like, you can't expect to have perfect days all the time, and especially if you're fighting with mental illness or even physical impediments, disabilities, you're gonna have really crappy days. And
Absolutely.
but I guess the hope is that each day is going to be less crappier than the previous day, and you're going to find ways or people that can really help you to, I guess, make that trip or make that journey, so that it is, I guess, a roller coaster that only goes up as much as more than it goes down.
Yeah, totally. Plus, I think for me, the PASS program was probably the main thing, especially in my second year, that kind of like helped me up, like kind of that like that was the best thing that I like could have done, because I found my friends, I found my support, I found that really safe, comfortable space. Yeah. So yeah, it's great.
And that is one thing about PASS, because like obviously we don't try to tout on about PASS too much, but we do call this the PASScast for a reason. All of us have all come together from all these different walks of life and whatnot, because PASS brought us together. And part of that, again, huge shout out to her, is our amazing boss Jackie, not just being there to support us, but being able to go, hey, these people, these people, these students aren't
Yeah.
are really good students, but they've also got something else that drives them. And like I mentioned to you when we were chatting before the show, like when I showed up to training and you were the first senior leader to sort of sit down at my table and you started talking, and I'm sitting there going, is my brain lagging, or oh no, it's okay, cool. But like for me, it was that moment of, am I the one? Am I wrong here, or is something else going on here? And it was you. And like after I came to that realization in my head, it was like, cool, sweet. And that was when I'm like, this would be a really unique experience to have a PASS session with you, because you would be facilitating the learning in such a way where you'd be trying to get across the knowledge you have, but sometimes obviously that would be a bit tougher for you. So the students would have to actually like fill in the blanks and finish sentences and things to sort of get there. And I felt like that was a really unique way that you could have potentially run your sessions that I never got to see, because I was obviously on the Gold Coast and not doing biomed.
Okay, that's okay. No, but my PASS classes, they are the same, I guess. They're a PASS class, but for me, PASS is a really comfortable space, so I am pretty fluent for the majority of PASS. Like which is weird, to be fair. But if I do, I just power through. But if I am struggling, so I am currently the PASS person for, I can't say it because it's a course. For I guess
is it
human like anatomy? Yeah. So there are some like words in there that are freaking massive. I cannot say, because like Greek, Latin, and it's just like it's a lot for me. But
English is hard enough.
Exactly, right? Yeah, it's kind of crap. But if I guess that is the case, like I just like point, like
I love that. This
one here, or the leg, or like it's something like that. Because like I don't know, that, or I always come prepared, like with some kind of like alternate thing to do. But I don't think I've ever had to do that ever.
Yep.
Like, which is great. But I think that's because PASS is so comfortable, so chill. So yeah, it's pretty good.
It's for me one of the things that got me through my first year, because the anxiety of starting university, like I mentioned before, I was a Tri-3 intake, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to acclimatize myself with the university and the way life would be at uni before being bombarded with a bunch of, and I do say this kind of maybe but a bunch of children, because I'm like we've mentioned, turning 34, not 26. So it's been a really long time since I've been around not just a lot of people, but a lot of young people that haven't necessarily experienced the world. So one of my good friends and a fellow PASS leader that we may see on here one day, and she can talk about her adventures with physics. But Sam was literally still only like 17 when I met her. So like I would talk to her about something, and I'd just see the look of, oh God, how do I process what this person's just said to me? And it's because I had to stop, and it wasn't until somebody else pointed it out to me that this person is a child, and I'm speaking about very, very, like, not saying so.
My favorite person.
But yeah, so starting university was a big change in my life, because I'd sort of, all right, do we want to go back 5 years?
5 years. I mean, we can go back 5 years.
We can go back 5 years. All right,
Not
so
that really, right?
well, we're science students. We'll eventually work out time travel. Um, we'll get the physicist.
I don't want to go back, but yeah.
No, I don't really either. But about 5 years ago, I'd just come back from living in Canada. I'd had to come back due to my mental health. I was not dealing well with quite a few things in my life, and I guess this is where the trigger warning on self harm and suicide comes into it. I had attempted to end my own life while I was in Canada. And my family had to fly me home, because it was decided in everyone's best interest that I was around, supportive family, rather than be on the other side of the world by myself. And so while I was back here, my partner at the time, who had moved to Canada and back from Canada with me, and was pretty much my primary person that was in my life, had decided to leave me, which was completely understandable because I was not a very easy person to be around. Then we get to 4 years ago, almost, well, not to the day, but within this time period, where a lot of things happened in very quick succession, and I had a second attempt, which involved me and my car that my grandfather had acquired for me to try and get me back into the workforce and things. And I was not dealing well with life. So I didn't succeed, obviously, because again, I thank my mother for at least in a way sarcastically, because obviously it didn't. Yeah, beside the point. Let me. The reason I survived was most likely because in my mind, every time I got into a vehicle, you put your seatbelt on, to the point where it's instinctual. So even though I got into my car with ill intent for myself, my instincts kicked in and I put my seatbelt on. So when I went for a drive and put my car in a position where I thought that things would end for me, my seatbelt cracked my sternum but saved my life.
That was
So
the sign that wasn't your time.
that's what my mother keeps saying as well.
Your mother's
And
right.
I will go out on the internet and say, I don't believe in fate, and I don't believe in things happening for reasons and things like that. So, like, my mum knows whenever she says that to me, she doesn't even need to be looking at me to know I'm kind of rolling my eyes mentally at her when she says something like that. But I did not deal with that survival very well. Not just because of the cracked sternum, that sucked. Don't crack your sternum under any circumstances, people. It's really quite a painful recovery process, because breathing hurts,
Yes.
laughing hurts, talking hurts, as Courtney's mentioned with her speech impairment. But when your literal rib cage is being held together slightly, it kind of sucks and hurts. So. I mean, mine was only a hairline fracture, but it was enough to cause immense amounts of pain, which I'm sure under human anatomy you can explain why. But
I won't, but no.
but I ended up hospitalized for a month, mostly due to them keeping me in mental health, because I was not wanting to eat. I wasn't wanting to drink. I wasn't wanting to socialize with the other people in the mental health ward for reasons that can only come across as maybe derogatory, but I did not want to hang out with crazy people for some reason. Or other people going through similar issues, because talking to people with similar issues I didn't think was going to help me. And I was in a very dark place for a very long time, until February of the next year. So we're sitting in 2018, I think, at this point. So all of this happened in 2017. We get to 2018 when a few other things happened, which I'm not ready to talk about on this podcast yet, but we will probably eventually talk about. But it got to about the year anniversary point, and I kind of had to make a choice of, do I keep doing the same thing I've been doing for the last year, or do I make a change? And there was a few things going on that I've alluded to there that had made me go, well, shit, I need to probably do something. So I looked at it and was like, I literally hated so many things in my life that it made me not want to live. What do I want to do that I will enjoy? And maths was what came up in my head. To the opposite of most people, I'm sure. The last thing, like, like most people hear math and probably end up going the other way and wanting to not live anymore. But I sat there for a really long time one day and I said, well, what can I do to give me something that will make me want to get up and get out of bed every day? And the last thing I remember being that passionate about, outside of playing video games, which apparently isn't a career choice if you're no good at them, was math. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start looking into university for math. And it was really hard to do, because I'll let you all know, it's really shockingly hard to find universities that want to talk about math, because apparently math isn't a very popular topic. So if I went to them and was like, I want to do biology, well, there's 600 different people that want to talk to me there. Or I want to look into chemistry, even though it's basically just math. And there's like 600 other people. And yes, I made that joke just to get one cringe out of Mackenzie in the crowd. I can see Martin getting ready to argue. But you talk about wanting to do this one part of science, and people are like, well, there's a mathematician over there somewhere. Can you talk to him? Which is where I got lucky, I guess, because I went to, and I think I've shared the story, I went to the Griffith Open Day, and that exactly happened. I went to see Joe Tiralago, and he was like, I don't know anything about math. And I'm like, cool, another dead end basically in the back of my head. But then that's when he stepped in and was like, but I know a guy who can. And that's when he took me to see Yuri. So it was that open day of 2018 where I was like, okay, I want to do this. So I started talking to admissions about things, and they were like, hey, we'll bring up your QTAC thing, and oh, look, you didn't actually pass English in high school. So you need to either do an English bridging course to bring up your to say that you're English competent, even though English is my first language. Apparently I didn't do it very well. And then so I had to do a multiple choice stat it's called the stat because it's the special tertiary admissions test that they do in Queensland. I had to sit that, which was a whole other issue because I got there with my one form of ID, which was my passport, and it expired the month beforehand. So they let me still sit it because they were like, look, it's only a month expired, but that is not a valid form of ID, and yes, we can see you are the same person, but you might want to get looking into that. So that was when my mother, the lovely woman that she is, took me to go get my driver's license renewed, even though I was never legally told I shouldn't be driving anymore, but I kind of took myself off the roads for obvious reasons. And not just because I didn't have a car, because it'd be really awkward me running around on the road without a car. But yeah, so we went and we got that all renewed, but I got the marks back from the stat test, and it was one of the first things that made me feel really, really good about myself again. And that was when we looked at the English part, and I got like 60. I was in the 60th percentile, so I was like, okay, cool. I've done a
Solid.
bit of average. And when I spoke to the admissions team at Griffith, they're like, you had to get this many marks, and you got this many. So I'd skipped it. Like I'd gotten there by like maybe 4 or 5 marks. So I was like, yes, sweet. And then they looked at. Well, then I looked at because they called it the qualitative and the quantitative. Qualitative obviously was the English part. The quantitative was the math part, and they're like, "You've actually done really well here." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, how well did I do?" And they're like, "You're in the 93rd percentile." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "What did you want
Crushed it.
to do at university?" And I'm like, "I want to focus on math." And they're like, "Well, I think you've picked the right thing because you did pretty well at it." And and I was like, okay. And then they're like, okay, and we've received your job experience letter from your former boss, who is one of my best friends as well. And he didn't puff it up. He just literally wrote exactly what my job roles were. And they're like, so yeah, with your job experience, your stat test, and the entry requirements, your rank is blah number. And I'm like, okay, cool. What's blah number mean? Because obviously it's not blah number. I don't remember the number. But what's that number mean? And they're like, well, it's the equivalent between an OP1 and an OP3. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well done.
So I was like, okay, cool. Because, when you go to high school, you're thinking that, OP1 is like child genius, basically. And all through high school, I never put in any effort because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was very frustrating for my mother because she sent me to a high school that she thought would help nurture that desire to be really good at education, like to learn something. And I kind of pissed it all away and wasted a lot of her money because it was a private school. Um,
Oh.
but at the end of the day, it took me maybe 15 years longer than she planned, but I decided to enroll and got into a university and was really excited. And I got all of these results and everything, and it was like, oh, like the week before O week of try 3. So I'm like, I either start in try 3 where I will be more comfortable because there won't be as many people around, or I start in try 1 when everyone is around.
Mm.
And I picked try 3. So I went from suddenly not doing anything to I'm a university student now. And it's been, for lack of a better word, life changing because being at university has really, really made me enjoy what I'm doing for the first time, I think, in my life. And this week in particular is obviously always hard because I get to think back on what could have happened. And the time that passed after that, I was an absolute shit. I didn't talk to after I ended up in hospital, I cracked the shits at my mum coming to see me every day and was like, I don't want you to come and see me anymore. Go away. Like to the point where she actually listened and I didn't speak to her until 2018. Like this was the beginning of middle of April of 2017, and I basically said I want nothing to do with anyone until I want nothing to do with anyone. And then it wasn't until 2018 I called mum up and was like, I was being a bit of a shithead, wasn't I? And she's like, yes, you were. Not in those terms. I may be paraphrasing a few things, not just what I said and what she said, but it was a rough time for both of us. It was a rough time for everyone that knew me.
Mm, I think we need to meet Mama Dwad sometime. She's an MVP.
She um it's funny when I don't know if you all saw me while you were talking earlier about something, Courtney, but I had a bit of a giggle because my stepdad actually sent me a picture of Mum and Bella, her her pet puppy, sitting there, and every time I talked or moved or whatever, Bella was fully because they're watching on Mum's phone, and she's like fully watching where I'm going, and me moving my hand around. So what? Probably
That's
driving
adorable.
but yeah, so
Very cute.
it's it's been a hell of a trip. And this week has kind of sucked too for many different reasons, but one reason I've gotten through it, and this is where I throw Martin under the bus now, is because I have this really supportive friend who convinced me to do a fucking podcast with him, of all things. And I met Martin in trimester 1 of 2019, and he was. I didn't realize, but they were actually his sessions, but his mentee, Selena, was running them, and I kept coming back because I quite liked Selena, and she had a great learning like a way of facilitating our learning, and Martin was always around cracking jokes and thinking he was real funny when he wasn't, but we've all met, so we all know that he's like that. And then when we got to calculus, he was actually taking his own sessions because I didn't understand why he wasn't running these sessions, but it turned out that was all by design. He was making his mentee do all the work for him.
Not a
Yeah,
chance.
I'm throwing him under the bus here because I want Jackie to go back and make sure that he didn't claim prep time because he made Selena do all the work.
Oh, I didn't claim anything.
No, I know you didn't. I know you didn't, but it wasn't until he was doing Calc 1, and I don't know what it was, but we started shit talking about something, and then I don't know, Martin, how did our friendship start exactly?
I think we were just, through the sessions, everyone liked to banter with me because I'm always like the punching bag. People will throw shit at me, and I take it and give it back, and like that's my personality. So I love bantering with people, and you are actually one of the more quick-witted people I had encountered. So it was quite interesting for me because, being a non-native speaker, I find that wit is something that sometimes is difficult for me to deal with. So when Daniel's very quick-witted, it kind of gives me like a challenge of, okay, now I have to be wittier back. Like I have to. So it just kept this back and forth. And after that, he kept coming to sessions, and it became that he was I think he broke the record. He came to 40 plus sessions in
4 sessions trimester.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I wanted to say it was every single one, but I do know at the end I missed 1 or 2 because they were 9 a.m. in the morning, and I was not.
Don't tell him that, Dan. Just don't tell him. It's fine.
No,
You give to every session.
44 sessions, which is, I believe, still the current record. I do know one of my linear algebra students, who I think I saw in the chat before, is inadvertently gunning for that record because he's getting up there. And I know Mackenzie's getting really close with her Calc 2 attendance.
Mackenzie's going to beat it. I'm holding faith. She's going to beat it.
She's pretty cool.
Yeah.
She'll do it.
Yeah. I'm just happy it's happening in my sessions. My sessions get the record breaks for attendance.
Okay, no, that's
I don't want to. I don't want to draw a correlation here, but it's happening twice. So.
Okay.
No.
Sorry, to fill you in, Courtney, and everyone else listening. We have had so many arguments with him lately, and I think we even covered this when Shay was on last time. Martin, correlation does not equal causation, and I will beat it into your head if I have to. And I don't care if you throw it back at me when I'm being irrational and stupid in my own head, but the point is, you're wrong.
Shay has said that Scarlett's been killing it up at Nathan, so we might have some difficulty there.
She has. She's pretty cool.
Scarlett's pretty awesome. We'll have to have Scarlett on at some point too.
Yes, definitely.
Should do.
But yeah, so I managed to somehow make friends with this. I'm gonna give him his affectionate nickname. I made friends with this dickhead, and I went with the PG one.
Yeah. That was the nicer one.
That's a nice one. And honestly, having Martin as a friend and as a support in being well, I know the technical term isn't junior leader, but being a regular pass leader, and then even now with me transitioning into becoming a senior leader, and he's 100% had my back when he's had the time to. We won't talk about my observation. Not the one that you did, Courtney. My first one was your observation. Your observation of me was amazing. My observation of Martin and Kaylee, less so.
It was a learning curve. It was a learning experience.
Well, that's what we're putting it down to. It was a learning experience. It was my first time, as I believe Jackie put, and she can tell if I'm misquoting her here, but it was good that it happened, not because it happened that way, but it really reminded me that first time senior leaders should have a senior leader with them.
Yes. Oh.
So yeah, but having friends like Martin have been really helpful. I know he hasn't watched the last one because Martin hasn't released it yet, but I lumped a bit of praise on my friend who is also watching, and the guy that's been letting me know when the stream broke, Pickle Dancer, my friend over in America. He has fuck. He's been my friend for like 10 years. So he's had to live through all of this. And not only live through all of this, but live on the other side of the world with no direct contact. So for some of those periods where I just disappear, he had no idea what the hell was going on. For the most part. I have other friends who don't watch this podcast, but I made friends with afterwards that did keep him in the loop about certain things, but he's always been there for me as well.
Yeah.
No, and I can attest to that. Pickle, just from very small conversations with him, definitely a good person to be involved with. Daniel's definitely quite lucky to have someone like that.
Yeah.
And
That's what you want from a friend.
The point is that when I felt like I didn't have anyone, it's really reminded me and reinforced to me that I actually have these really amazing people around me. And they keep growing because not just this PASS program, but my interactions at uni, my interactions with pretty girls on the internet. I've made a lot of really, really good friends over the last couple of years, and I can look back at 4 years ago now, and it's not something I ever really admit, but maybe at that time, it wasn't my time.
No, it wasn't. Is this the I was right? Mum's right?
It's not the saying you guys are. I have to word it very carefully because for me,
Yeah, you do.
For me, the other side of it is admitting that my train of thought was wrong, and
Yes.
I, even in making bad decisions like that, will defend my train of thought. So
Yeah, breakthrough, Shay. Agreed.
there was a bit of a So like even like I said, it was a rough week for me, but I never got that low because I know that I have support around me.
I do just want to as well backtrack to a couple comments that people made because I thought it'd be nice for you to hear. So Jackie said it was good for you for sharing, gave you a love heart. Emily agreed that it wasn't your time. George just gave hearts everywhere as he usually does. Shay says, so glad you're here. You're wanted and valued. So Ronan says you're not very good at video games. That's his. But
probably back when I said the video games were not a particular career path for somebody that was bad at them, and yes, he's right. I am pretty terrible at them.
No, but it does. I guess it does highlight the.
You're all true though.
But yes, the reason for me sharing this story isn't because I would like you guys to tell me those things. I know those things without you telling me those things, but the reason I share this is because it comes back, and this isn't me trying to keep us on topic, but this is an adversity that a lot of people don't know that I've dealt with. And I'm telling you, however many people end up listening to this ridiculous episode. I say ridiculous episode because every episode with Martin and I is ridiculous. We've
That's why we
To
have
me,
guests. The guests make it better.
yeah, exactly. The guests keep us on track, except Courtney hasn't gotten to talk quite as much.
No, fine. Seriously, go for it.
But the fact is that some students. Sorry, my mother just sent me a message saying fate's a bitch.
Let's
no,
go,
she's
Mama
cool.
Dodd.
But yes, what was I saying? Yes, there are people, and some of them have told me about it, and I won't out them out like this because it's their story to tell. But some people have been at university and felt as low as I did before I started university, and that is an adversity that not many people like. I know mental health has become more. I don't want to say popular because it sounds like the worst term possible for it, but mental health awareness has become more prevalent in the last 10 years, I'll say, and it's a really good thing to keep in mind. But there are people there that are struggling. Not quite, and I don't say this in a negative way to you, Courtney. Not quite as apparently as Courtney when she speaks. Like you can tell that there's a difficulty that she has there, but there are other people out there that you don't know what they're going through, and I don't want to pick on the idea because then we'll get into this whole argument that I like to have about "Are you okay, Day?" But are you okay? Asking people if they're okay is possibly the worst thing you can do to people that aren't okay. But that's beside the point. The point is that I want to make more is that if you think somebody's struggling, sometimes just reach out and tell them, "Hey, what's going on?" Or ask them about how they're going. And don't just ask for the sake of asking, but like one of my best friends, when I came back, I told him that I was going through a lot of stuff, and I sat down and I had a conversation with him about it. And he went away from that conversation, and he's told me this, and I love that he's told me this because I love that he's this blunt with me. But none of you guys will have met him. He's my friend that graduated down at Bond for law. But he came back after a week and said, "Yep, I'm in," and was there to help and support me. And later on down the line, he told me he had to take that time and he had to have a lot of conversations with his now wife. They were only dating at the time, but they got married. And say, "Hey, look, Daniel's just come back from Canada, and this is what's going on. And I need to decide: am I all in or am I not there at all? Because if I'm not there at all, like, or if I'm only partially there, it's not going to help him. I might as well be all out. So I'm either all in or I'm all out." And I'm fortunate in this regard because he chose to be all in, and he helped support me through a lot of that as well. To the point where I was living with him after I came out of hospital, so that I had somewhere safe to stay that was a bit removed from my family because I had cut most of my connections with them. So the point is, we all deal with adversity, and it's Martin's turn to talk about adversity because it's on a more I don't want to say lighter note because I don't want to detract from what he has experienced himself, but